Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking.
Almost Friday, and The View is live. Summit canceled. Why the president says he's pulling out of meeting with North Korea's Kim Jong-un, and the parting shot he gave him. Out of bounds. The NFL tells protesting players to keep it in the locker room.
We want people to be respectful of the national anthem. We want people to stand.
Is it patriotism or kneeling to the pressure? Plus, the hot topics are blazing when the one and only Snoop Dogg hangs at the VIEW. The hottest topics are on the table with Whoopi, Sarah Haynes, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Meghan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
Welcome to The View, y'all. Welcome to The View. Welcome to The View. So, the guy in the White House announced this morning that his meeting with Kim Jong-un is canceled. Now, in a letter responding to North Korea's threats to pull out, where they called VP Mike Pence ignorant and stupid, he wrote, based on the tremendous anger and open hostility displayed in your most recent statement, I feel it's inappropriate at this time to have this long-planned meeting, adding, you talk about your nuclear capabilities, but ours are so massive and powerful that I pray to God will never have to be used. He actually said all that. Mm-hmm.
Well,
is it a surprise?
There goes that Nobel Peace Prize. He was.
There you go.
There it goes.
Oh my gosh, it's over.
I don't know.
Well, we were talking about diplomacy and how important it is, and I think many of us were giving him the benefit of the doubt of perhaps learning diplomacy. But when you then send this letter talking about massive and powerful nuclear capabilities, not only does the Nobel Peace Prize, which I think 18 House Republicans nominated him for, a meeting that hadn't even happened yet.
They were minting coins with his face on it.
Yeah, commemorative coins.
Yeah.
It just also goes the theory that this is a man that can truly be diplomatic.
Well, and there's sometimes a reason why presidents of both parties have not done this exact thing. Yes. There was a reason why I think there was a term Obama used, I forgot what it was called, about diplomacy. It's kind of an intentional diplomacy, which means they know if they show up and have this meeting, there's not going to be a denuclearization. So this is what ends up happening.
When you have these meetings with no preconditions.
But we did get the hostages back, which I'll say that's a good thing in this conversation.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, North Korea's vice minister slammed Vice President Pence, calling him, quote, a political dummy. And then Pence went back and compared North Korea, saying it could end up like Libya and Muammar Gaddafi. So it was a back and forth that started not just from Trump as well, that started with other North Korean officials and obviously Vice President Pence. What's weird to me about it is that I was always sort of like cautiously optimistic, but seeing the narrative change on Kim Jong-un recently in other realms of the media that, hey, maybe this is the guy we can talk with. Maybe this guy that's not so bad. And I know we always emphasized on this show that this is someone who has thrown his half-brother to be eaten by wild dogs. This is an irrational international actor. He's one of the worst dictators of all time, debatably worse than Putin because he is less easy to negotiate with. So am I surprised? No. Am I somewhat still optimistic that maybe we can do something with President Xi in China shutting down their economy?
Maybe.
That's still in play, but
it's
not the news.
It's no moment that, what deal has he actually closed? The wall has not been closed. He said he's going to drain the swamp. The swamp is filled with more corrupt officials.
The tax plan, number one.
The tax plan was pushed through and probably is going to have destructive things happen because of it.
Well,
and I mean, he makes deals that don't work. I've never.
Well, but he also legitimized, in my view, Kim Jong-un now. He called him a smart and honorable man. Now he's actually being considered I guess, a relevant world player.
Well, there
that's
probably had
very
to be
damaging.
Sorry, Whoopi, go
That's
ahead.
right, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, there just had to probably be some delicate language, because if they were pushing this meeting through, we saw some of the thank yous with the hostage. I think he had to walk a line.
The thing we should be fearful of, though, is there's still American journalists in South Korea right now and North Korea, and if you're putting out a statement like this, which, you know, is talking about if you change your mind, call me, you know,
like a
our
cover
massive,
letter.
totally, it's like a very sort of like incendiary letter, but we still have
sounds like a
American
love letter,
journalists
really.
there, and let's not forget what happened to Otto Warmbier. So that's my biggest concern right
Well,
now.
can you imagine that, sir? If you change your mind, call me.
I know.
And I'll like, yo, Kim. What's up, dude?
He wanted.
Are we hanging? I mean, come on.
I wanted to break up with Kim before Kim broke up with him.
He writes, I was very much looking forward to being there with
I would like to hear what Mike Pompeo has to say about this, too, because he actually met with Kim Jong-un. So it will be interesting to see if any other Trump administration officials are going to continue doing this. I think the only
Send Dennis Rodman altogether.
He seems to be a better diplomat.
Well, maybe, but, you know, we'll see. This story, of course, is not going anywhere. We'll be talking about it some more, I suspect, because that's how we're living these days. So, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has also had a big announcement. A new policy requiring players to either stand for the national anthem or stay in the locker room. And you know who weighed in on it. Watch.
I don't think people should be staying in locker rooms, but still, I think it's good. You have to stand proudly for the national anthem. Well, you shouldn't be playing. You shouldn't be there. Maybe you shouldn't be in the country. You have to stand proudly for the national anthem. And the NFL owners did the right thing if that's what they've done.
Okay. Well, you know, some people say that dodging the draft 5 times is un-American. Maybe he shouldn't be in the country.
Well, it's clear that this decision was really all about money, because you are talking about private companies that had to have heard something, because they're not going to operate necessarily on pure integrity. It's dollar signs for them. But it's sad, because one of the beautiful things about for me standing for the national anthem was it became more powerful when you stood next to someone who was kneeling, because I think it's...
Have you done that?
Well, Gabe is the first. I haven't done the national anthem. I haven't been at anything with the national anthem, but
You got a baby.
But
don't go nowhere.
I don't think
I mean, you just, I mean,
no, I mean metaphorically, the idea of standing next to someone who's kneeling. We don't have the same history in this country, and until people can separate that, this doesn't mean the same to all of us. And it really, for me, I do link it to the idea of military because of my personal experience with my own parents. The person next to me doesn't. And that's why I'm standing and putting my hand on my heart, is to protect all of that and the differences among us. So,
and some people may be kneeling because of their personal experience, because as I've said many times, this protest is not about the national anthem. This protest is not about the flag. It is about the fact that our country still, think about the Milwaukee Bucks player Sterling Brown, who was tased for doing absolutely nothing by the police. This country still terrorizes African American men at a much disproportionate rate than it does to white men. And so my experience in this country is valid, it should be valued, and if I want to kneel because I don't think America is as great as she can be, I don't think America has lived up to the promise of the flag, that means I am being just as American as you are when you stand in homage to your parents' service.
What frightens me about him is his rage in this particular show. Can you show the tape of him when he first was talking about this? And notice how enraged he is. Over the top. Can play that for him.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
So angry. It's like, why is that make you so angry? You know, well, he needs to look into it, into
It's a very emotional issue, though. I mean, I don't agree with
There are many emotional issues, but I've never seen him quite that angry like that. There's something about this particular story that makes him really furious.
I can't analyze his anger in different places. He's been pretty angry and irrational in a lot of different places. I will say that I completely disagree with everyone on this table. I would never be okay with someone not saluting the flag. By the way, 72% of Americans, according to Reuters, said that they thought Kaepernick's behavior was unpatriotic.
97%
I agree
of
with you.
African
Can I please
Americans
finish
think
what
it's
I'm
very
saying?
patriotic.
I'm the only person. I'm still talking. I'm still talking. I'm still speaking, and
Everybody gets into it on this panel, Megan.
Not anymore. We'll be right back.
Well, yes.
Later. classroom censorship? The student yanked out of class for wearing a pro-Trump t-shirt. If you're in the white-hot center of the news, this is where you come to voice your view.
Character matters. Truth-telling matters.
Women are not going to be silenced. They're not going to be intimidated. They are going to speak their truth.
Because this is the only place in daytime.
This is the interview that meant the most to my wife, so thanks for...
Taking on the newsmakers.
What I do for a job doesn't impact my ability to know right from wrong or to tell the truth.
We're The View.
I take such pride in the idea that the president watches our show.
He sure watches the show.
Hello. On ABC.
Go Bob, yeah. Hey, welcome back. So we're going to finish up our conversation on the kneeling. There's a little damn bug over there. I'm just telling you.
Okay, so I think it is worth noting that Sonny and I are both very sick.
This is the sick end of the table,
So
man.
that's probably, we've been fine.
We've given
Stay home if you're sick.
We should have.
We tried.
I apologize.
People made them come.
we let everyone know we were sick today.
Listen, I disagree. I know it's unpopular in this room. I get it. That's why we do this job. 53% of Americans, according to a Washington Post poll published yesterday, said it's never inappropriate to kneel during the national anthem. I have a flag in my dressing room. I have many in my home. It is what we drape the coffins of soldiers' bodies when they come back from war. It's a very obviously deeply, intensely emotional issue. Couldn't disagree with everyone more.
Okay. Well, you know, I'm just going to add my little 2 cents that oftentimes the bodies of some of the men that the guys are kneeling about don't get to have don't get to have flags on them, because sometimes, you know, listen, there are a lot of things that make us Americans. The fact that we can disagree and I can sit and you can stand and we can still continue on. But the idea that now in America, you are not allowed to disagree. You're not allowed to do that. You know, in a dictatorship, you got to stand. You got to stand for the flag. They say you got to do it. That's never been how we did it. People have the way they feel, and the NFL's done what they did, and these players have done what they've done. And because the NFL players are all white, I would think they would have understood a little bit more about why their players are
70% are black.
You know. And
Does it
so
make a difference that it's a corporation? Because again, like if we couldn't come on here, we work for ABC, so I couldn't come on here with a shirt that says the F word on it or something like that. Does it make a difference to you that money and corporations are involved?
It makes a difference to me that I feel this was forced by the guy in the White House. I don't think this was. I don't think this was something that he particularly, because when I think about him and what he thinks is patriotic, I'm not buying it. So I don't believe why he did it. I think he did it as meat. But you know, they have the right to say in our company you can't do that. That's why some schools have to wear uniforms and some schools don't.
Well, but I think she makes a good point in the sense that it does make a difference, because you're talking about the difference between what you can do at work and what you can do on your own. And the Constitution does protect a corporation that is telling its employees you can't do this on work time. But what happens when you have the Supreme Court saying, you know, Jehovah's Witnesses, because of freedom of speech and freedom of religion, don't have to stand for the national anthem in our schools? What happens when the players are, you know, playing on a field that is owned by the public? And so there are exceptions, I think, when someone is working for a corporation, and above all else, freedom of speech and freedom of the First Amendment should be paramount.
Okay, so can I just add something I have, though, just for a second? I'm sorry, Joy, never mind. Go ahead.
I also would like to add that, you know, the average person, we're kind of powerless. You know, all we have is the vote, and we have protest. There's not that much more that we can do. So people are angry, feeling powerless because of the way they're conducting the country right now. I personally abhor the way this man is conducting business in this country, and so do the racism is disgraceful. And Donald Trump needs to be taken to task. Now, how do you do it? If you're a football player or whatever they are, any sports guy who has a position to do it, do it. He has to do it.
Well,
everyone has the right to protest. You can burn an American flag in this country if you want. It's your constitutional right. If I do think, though, if someone found out that one of the hosts on this show was going home every night burning an American flag, we might not have a job, because at the end of the day, there is a corporation and there's an audience and there's money involved.
If you go home and you burn your flag, this company cannot.
And no one's doing that. It's
fire
just
you for that.
They cannot fire you.
No, they cannot.
But the audience
but there was outrage from
the outrage
viewers.
in the same way that there was with the NFL. This isn't, I mean, what again, and I think sometimes it's easy to forget in our bubbles, which I fully agree that I live in one myself, but there are people that on both sides, this is extremely emotional on many levels. And I
think I'm sorry, baby, including the players. It's very emotional for them as well. No, for the same reasons, I'm saying, because they have military in their family, and that's why they keep saying this is not about disrespecting the soldiers, this is not about disrespecting the flag, this is about saying, I don't feel the flag protects me as it should. And so this is not going away either. We're going to keep talking about it. But I want to bring up something that I think we all can agree with. So a veteran gentleman went to Six Flags. A retired U.S. Marine, Johnny Joey Jones, who lost both legs while serving in Afghanistan, was told he couldn't ride the roller coaster at a Georgia Six Flags by an attendant who told him, you have to have 2 real legs. Six Flags apologized, but said it's all in the name of safety for their guests. Well, then how about teaching your employees how to actually talk to people? Because, you know, if your child has been born without both their extremities.
Exactly.
You don't want to hear your kid told, no, you can't ride because you don't have real arms or legs. What the hell, man? You know, look. Nobody's mad at your Six Flags. We would like you to do a better job educating the people who are being spoken to, okay? I think we can all agree with that.
Can I just say something really quick? Johnny Joey is a friend of mine, and he gave me a statement. He said, I work at a camp that focuses on integrating kids with challenges with, quote, normal kids. This matters to me because those kids and people with disabilities deserve the same opportunity to smile as any other. I'm happy to start this conversation. I don't dislike Six Flags. I want them to do more. Basically,
and to do better. Great.
Hey, maybe Johnny Joey will come on.
Johnny Joey should totally co-host. He's
Johnny
really
Joey,
fun.
come
He's also not too hard on the eyes.
He's really cute.
We'll be right back. We'll be right back. The stereotype of men insisting they do not need to pull over for directions may be legit. Researchers found that guys are more likely to reach a destination before women and have better navigational skills.
It, Tom.
Not fair. He gets to pump his own applause.
Are you buying any of this?
This is not true.
On to our next topic.
I have a much better sense of direction than my husband. I remember we were in a foreign country, and he got so lost in a market, and I did not get lost because I was shopping for a particular scarf.
But were
and
you
I
in
saw
a car?
that scarf.
Were you on foot or you were in the car?
I was on foot. My navigation on foot is better than his, and my navigation in the car is better than his too.
Oh, good for you. I think you're talking about the navigation. Are you better? Who's better in your?
First of all, I'd like to challenge them to find my G-spot, okay? Number 1.
Number 2. I don't think Wayne does that.
Oh, man.
I also challenge you to find your way around Bloomingdale's, okay?
There you go.
Yeah.
No, but the study here was done in a maze. It was done in a maze, so people walking. And literally, I do not believe that women on a mission are not as good as men. In fact, we are better when we are looking for things that men are.
Sarah. Okay.
Especially a beautiful silk scarf.
I can't find my way anywhere. I'm the worst. I'm so sorry. I get lost everywhere. Me and my husband lost driving in Virginia, and I thought we were literally going to die and get like hacked up by a serial killer. I'm the worst, and I can't be trusted with any navigation anymore. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no.
That's 1 against
sorry.
2. I'm going to say that Max may be a little better.
No.
But I have a problem with the study. The study says that the reason men are better and reach their destinations faster is they opt for the shortcuts. No one should be changing my expectations about our trip. It's already been laid out in the bold blue line that told me where there were delays and slowed down construction, police. If you start changing up while we're going because you want a shortcut, we're going to end up somewhere wacky. That never works out. Put it in advance and don't touch it again.
That can be interpreted many ways. Put it in, don't touch it again.
I'm still trying to deal with the fact that Joy is looking for her G-spot.
Someday I'll find it.
I'll tell you what, I'll take a picture of mine and show you where it is. We'll be right back.
Yo, it's Snoop D-O-double-G, and I'm here to hang with the W-H-O-O-P-I and the other ladies, so keep it here, because I'm up next. You dig?
This is a true fact. One of our favorite people, Snoop Dogg, is a true Renaissance man these days. He's co-hosting potluck dinners with Martha Stewart, reviving the classic game show The Joke is Wild, and releasing his very first gospel album called Bible of Love. Please welcome one of the true Renaissance men of our time, Snoop Dogg.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Snoop. So here's a question. When you were just starting out and you first got your feet on the ground, you were doing what you were doing, did you ever think to yourself, my God, at some point I could become an icon?
Never. Never. But I never did not have high expectations. I just, prepared myself for the worst, so to speak, because I know the industry, it's up and down. You have a 15-minute of fame window. So I just was trying to make the most of it. And then once I got in, I learned how to master me. And once I mastered me, then I could maximize the full potential of who I could be.
Good. Dr. Dre was really influential for you, and he actually featured you in his HBO docuseries, The Defiant Ones. How did you two end up working together?
Well, I was making mixtapes, and then Dr. Dre's half-brother, Warren G, was my best friend. And we had made a cassette together, and it was a bachelor party that they had. And the music had stopped, and Warren G had threw my cassette in. And my cassette kept the party rocking, and Dre was like, who was that? And he was like, that's the homeboy Snoop. And then we ended up connecting, and there you have it.
Wow. Yeah. There you have it. A good story.
The cassette tapes, the good old days.
Cassette tapes, the real good old days.
People like to talk a lot about rap wars, but we want to have in the spirit of positivity. Can you tell us a little bit about your close relationship with Tupac?
Wow, my relationship with Tupac was extra close. Actually, it was a point in time when me and my girlfriend at the time, we were having ups and downs. And a lot of my friends was telling me that I should just go ahead and be solo because I was Snoop Doggy Dogg and I could have any woman that I wanted. And Tupac pulled me to the side and was like, forget what they talking about. That girl loves you. You need to marry her. And I ended up marrying her, and 20-some years later, we're still together.
Wow. That's a nice story. That's a nice story.
I know, it's so heartwarming. I have to ask you about Kanye. A few weeks ago, he made the comment that, quote, 400 years of slavery sounded like a choice. It obviously went viral. What was your reaction when you heard that?
I mean, I thought he needed some medical attention. First and foremost. But then after I got past the laughing, I started feeling like sad for him. Like he truly misses his mother. He truly misses a black woman in his life. He truly misses the stability of having somebody telling him when he's wrong and correcting him and checking him, as opposed to allowing him to continue to do what he's doing. And that, to me, is something that he needs help. And it's like, to me, he's crying out for help. So instead of me bashing him, we're trying to help him now.
Okay. Oh, really? Let's see if that works. So one of the best relationships that I've ever heard of is the one between you and Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
It's kind of an unusual one. You have a funny show together, right?
That's my homegirl.
Yeah. And she was here last week, and she told us a little story about your visit to her farm. Let's check it out.
What?
Snoop came to lunch the other day, and he was a wonderful guest. Although he did say he was only going to bring his business partner and his stylist. He shows up with 7 people for lunch. His guys, and some of them are 7 feet tall, they all sit down at the table. My daughter had to set a table in the kitchen, but you know, he is Snoop, of course, and he deserves the best. Snoop, I'm very glad you finally visited me at my farm.
Was it fun for you at the farm?
I mean, it was like old McDonald, you know what I'm saying?
200 chickens.
Martha has everything that you could imagine. Like, the horse's house is better than my house. But I mean, our relationship is so special. People would have never thought that we could have a relationship and have a friendship. But that's what's wrong with people. Stop judging the book by the cover and allow people to understand and learn each other.
What exactly has what has Martha taught you?
Oh, she taught me how to be a real iron chef in the kitchen, so to speak.
Oh. Yeah.
Like, you know, she's very particular with the way you set up the plate. Like, I usually just rush through it, but she's teaching me how to be more calculated. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like a real professional. You know what I'm saying, Whoopi?
I do. I can't do it.
Me neither. I'm learning.
You know.
I'm in the process.
And what did she learn from you?
I taught her how to make bacon. I taught her how to make bologna sandwiches. It's a few things that I'm showing her. I'm trying to get her hip to the hood, you know what I'm saying? And she's showing me about the finer things and like Grey Poupon and stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
I like that. She entertained you at her farm, but you also like to entertain at your house. And I heard you had a private showing of Black Panther at your house. It was sort of a movie night, but it was a little bit different. What was it like?
It was a drive-in. I have a drive-in theater at my house. Because I'm just an old school kind of guy. Like, I just love going to the drive-in with my wife. She's sitting next to me, you understand me? Like, that's just the old school feeling. So what I wanted to do was present Black Panther on the screen for those who hadn't seen it.
Well,
it was a
I've
great
never
turnout.
been to a drive-in.
Never?
No, they didn't really have
I'm
drive-ins
inviting
here.
the cast of The View to a drive-in.
Okay. Because I've always, because you hear people describe them, but you know, when you live here, we didn't have them, so I've never seen a drive-in. But
I used to go to them and make out with guys, and they'd say,
"What?" That's my kind of guy, right here.
They'd say, "What did you watch?" And we'd say, "Submarine races." That was the joke.
I don't get it.
Get ready for
In
us
other words,
to
you
drive
can't
up.
see them.
You can't see them, baby.
Okay.
Underwater boogie, baby.
Well, you're hosting the second season of your game show. Snoop Dogg presents The Joker's Wild, and we have a clip, I think. Let's take a look. Is that Bodak Yellow?
Bodak Yellow.
Yeah. So cute. Little mama had it.
Yes, she did. She worked there.
Your new record is also really different for you. You've grown. It's a gospel album called Bible of Love.
Yes,
and you
Lord.
perform on it along with artists like Charlie Wilson, who I love, Faith Evans,
Praise
Patti
God.
LaBelle. Now, everyone would think to put Snoop and gospel together, right? What inspired you to do it?
Well, my grandmother, she passed away, and before she passed away, I used to always go to her house, and she would always have Jimmy Swaggart on. She loved Jimmy Swaggart. And she would always brag to her friends about me being her grandson, but she could never play none of my music. So what I wanted to do was make a record that she could be proud of, that she could play, and I know she's in heaven right now telling everybody up there, look at my grandson down there shining.
Oh. You were so close to your grandma. I remember every time you came, we talked about her, you know.
Listen, please don't wait 8 years to come back.
You know I
It's
love
been-
The View.
I
The
know.
View, this is one of my favorite shows, and I'm sorry that I was, you know, caught up in traffic, but I made it here.
Yes, you did.
I
Yes,
made
you
it.
did. Yes, you did.
I can.
So, I mean, our thanks to Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg presents The Joker's Wild, airs Sunday nights on TBS. The new album, Bible of Love, is available now. And members of our studio audience, you know what you're going home with? You're going home with a copy. In the break, we met a Vietnam vet, and we were talking to him, and he said that he'd not gotten a parade, and so we gave him one.
Thank you for your service to our country.
Your dad is my hero.
Thank you so much.
When you come across a Vietnam vet, thank them. His name is Stonewall Tower.
That is a great name. As parents, we always want to help our kids feel strong and confident. Our next guest wrote a book about it, and the focus, get this, is on our daughters. It's called The Confidence Code for Girls: Taking Risks, Messing Up, and Becoming Your Amazingly Imperfect, Totally Powerful Self. Welcome authors Claire Shipman and Katty K. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I wanted to have you on the show because I have a 12-year-old little girl, Paloma, and this book is geared towards 8 to 13-year-old girls. Why did you choose that age group?
You know, the research is showing that girls from the age to 8 to 14 lose about 1/3 of their confidence. Up until 8, they're just as confident as boys. And then at about the age of 8, it plummets and it never really catches up again. It's partly nature and partly nurture. The two things married together. We want to start pleasing people. Girls start wanting to be perfect.
But the hormones don't really kick in till the teen years.
Well, no, they actually start unbelievably 8, 9, you know, and the estrogen and testosterone do very different things.
Oh,
so testosterone gives gives boys a big risk-taking boost, which can help to build confidence. And estrogen is more about bonding and being aware of things, and that can make us more cautious.
Well, you mentioned this. Girls tend to strive for perfection, which I know I was one of those people. Because the end result is often good, is it a bad thing?
Well, the problem with perfection is that you stop taking risks, right? So unless your answer in class is perfect, you don't want to raise your hand.
Yeah.
Unless you have a perfect score of scoring goals on your soccer team, you quit your soccer team.
Yes.
And risk-taking is what builds your confidence. And I think what we need to do with our girls is get them used to taking risks, and that means getting them used to failing a bit more and struggling a bit more. And also the perfection thing means you become a total people pleaser. You don't want to rock the boat, you want to keep everybody happy, but actually we need to raise confident women, and we need our girls to be able to speak up and advocate for themselves, and some of that is taking
But
risks.
you can't blame that all on hormones.
No, but what happens is parents and teachers encourage this, because it's really interesting. It's like a big bait and switch, because for the first 22 years of our lives, the educational system as set up helps to create these perfectionists. You want the kids who do everything right on their spelling test, check, they're quiet in class, they're good, they're people-pleasing. You get in the real world, none of that stuff helps you.
No.
You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to speak up even when no one's paying attention to you.
Well, in my own case, they kicked me off the honor roll because I talked too much.
Yes.
I objected to that violently because how dare you? It has nothing to do with my intelligence, the fact that I'm a talker.
Your social IQ was just super high. But girls, you mentioned about this perfection and encouraging them to take risks. How do we do that?
Yeah.
Well, there's a really interesting, okay, all the people who are mothers out there, there's something really interesting you can do. Stop being a perfectionist yourself.
Oh, shoot.
Okay? Because guess what happens? If you are trying to be perfect and never struggling and never failing and telling your girls that what happens, they're going to want to do the same thing. So the number one thing you can do is get home, invent it, invent some struggle, invent something that goes wrong, whatever it takes, but show your girls that it's okay, you had a struggle and you overcame it. You're still standing, you're still there.
The other really interesting thing we found from our polling is that dads are better at spotting a lack of confidence in their daughters than moms are.
Wow.
Because it doesn't feel as odd to us. We recognize that behavior. Fathers are like, what is happening with my daughter who used to be willing to do anything? And so dads can play a really important role in kind of helping girls get comfortable being uncomfortable and doing things that make them a little bit nervous.
I like that.
Okay, so Katty, one more question about you were part of the broadcast of the royal family, right?
Yeah.
That little Meghan, she's something, I think. I don't think that girl felt this perfectionism because she is perfect, I think. But I bet you she was not in that, what you described, because she protested that there was a commercial running that was misogynist when she was in junior high school.
I mean,
well, she was raised by a queen, right?
And she was really raised by a queen, and what honor and dignity that her mother had. I never thought in my lifetime I would see somebody like Meghan Markle join the royal family. This, for me, that marriage in that chapel was not just about Meghan and Harry. It was about different cultures. Here was a divorced black woman joining the traditional royal family. I was amazed. And American British, I loved it.
I loved it, and I loved this book. Our thanks to Katty Kay and Claire Shipman. The Confidence Code for Girls is available right now. And guess what? Members of our studio audience are going home with a copy.